The thought of an electric Porsche, well, it was somehow wrong. That was until the Taycan arrived. It was fast, furious, and it handled like there was no tomorrow. In other words, it was a real Porsche. Well, now you have the second generation model, and this thing, well, to say it's radical is an understatement. All Taycan models get differing amounts of power. To access the largest number is simple. You simply select Sport Plus, press the brake pedal and then mat the throttle. You've now engaged launch control. When active, the Taycan goes into an overboost mode and the rear electric motor downshifts into first gear. Regardless of the model, this makes the Taycan a rip-roaring ride off the line. It starts with the Taycan 4S and the optional 105 kWh battery. It gets 509 horsepower. However, that rises to 590 horsepower and a peak of 523 pound-feet of torque when launch control is active. This sees the sedan run to 100k in 3.7 seconds and the wagon, well, one tick behind at 3.8 seconds. Moving up to the Taycan Turbo brings 697 horsepower, but that peaks at 871 horse and 693 pound-feet of torque in launch mode. The run to 100k now comes in at 2.7 seconds for the sedan and 2.8 for the wagon. Move up to the Turbo S and now you're talking horses. 764 standard ones, but they peak at 938 horse and 818 pound-feet of instant on torque. This lowers the run to a metric ton to 2.4 seconds. Needless to say, the Turbo S is mind-numbingly fast under just about any circumstance. However, there's a trick. When you're out on the road and the need for speed arises, you simply press the push to pass function. It bumps the horsepower to 858 for up to 10 seconds and it can be reactivated 10 seconds later should the need arise. What all of that instant on torque does to your body has to be experienced firsthand to be fully appreciated. Now when you stand on it, this thing warps off the line and it leaves your stomach way the heck back there. It's not till you finally lift off the go pedal that the thing actually slows down just enough for your stomach to catch up. To say it's mind-numbing, well, again, an understatement. This thing is incredibly fast. And so to the most powerful Porsche ever produced. The Taycan Turbo GT has a monster amount of power. In mortal mode, it makes 777 horsepower. Engage launch control and the numbers soar to 1,019 horses and 988 pound-feet of torque for up to 10 seconds. Again, there's a trick. When in launch mode, the system adds another 73 horsepower for the first 2 seconds. This means it actually launches with 1,092 horsepower. The GT also has an on-road attack mode. This gives the driver access to 938 horsepower for up to 10 seconds, and it can be used again after just 4 seconds. The inevitable question, is this thing fast? Well, yes, I've already explained what it does to your stomach. But from a hard numbers perspective, the Turbo is 2.3 seconds to 100k, the GT cuts that to 2.2 seconds. But that's not what really impresses. What does is the 80 to 120 passing time. My thumb was not fast enough to keep up with this car. I'll tell you it lies somewhere between 1 and 2 seconds, but that's about as good as it gets. Keeping the battery charged is much faster than before. The 105 kWh battery can be charged from 10 to 80% using a DC fast charger in just 18 minutes thanks to the 320 kilowatt capacity, which is up 50 kilowatts. When you plug it into a level 2 outlet, it takes about 12 hours to fully recharge. Sadly, Porsche do not allow the use of 110 volts, so you cannot trickle charge the battery when there's no level 2 charger available. The bigger nit in all of this is regen braking. It cannot be adjusted by the driver. Yes, the amount of regen has increased from 290 to 400 kilowatts, but it still felt lacking on the drive route. At times the sensation was there was no generation at all, and you can forget anything that resembles a one-pedal drive. The outgoing Taycan had steel springs. The new model comes with a 2-chamber air suspension with 2-valve adaptive dampers. Dynamically, this new adaptive suspension improves the road manners in just about every kind of driving condition when compared to the outgoing 3-chamber setup. And it was pretty good in its own right. The real deal is found in Porsche's new active ride suspension. It is optional on all but the Turbo GT. Now, unlike most active setups, this one is fully active thanks to a 5 kilowatt pump that sits at each wheel. It can lift or lower the wheel as needed and is so effective there's no need for anti-roll bars. It not only adds enormously to the manner in which the Taycan rides, it makes it crisper and more responsive across the board. The fun part proved to be driving the Turbo S wagon in Sport Plus mode down a deliciously twisty road. The ride is comfortable, but the active ability made it so flat through a corner it felt almost eerie. Helping things along was the available rear steering. It sharpens the turn-in response by turning the rear wheels by up to 2.8 degrees. That doesn't sound like much, but boy does it ever work. You know, you really have to marvel at what Porsche has managed to wring out of the second generation Taycan. It is fast, incredibly fast, and it handles, well, so delightfully well, it has to be experienced firsthand. Yes, when you go to the top end and the GT, you're talking 260 large. But you know, sometimes things in life are worth paying for. I'm Graham Fletcher for Driving.ca.